Hey, it's America's Supermom. Thank you for joining me on my podcast. This series is the Corona Chronicles. I created this so that we would have an outlet of positivity in the midst of a lot of negativity. You know what I'm talking about. All the news, the fear around this virus, how it can affect us, what the new normal is looking like, and how so many things have changed that a lot of people feel like um, it is the end of the world, so to speak. So, this podcast was created so that those of us who have hope, who are willing to move forward with this new normal and innovate new things that will help us to be creative and positive. That is what this platform is for us to come together and share that positivity and that light with those who may need it. So if you're interested in sharing your insight, please reach out because we can never have enough positive news. So sit back and enjoy the show. Today, I'm really excited. Yes, Mary Ann. We actually met um, through Facebook, but it was through a group that we're in, Ladies Power Lunch, through Davia Shepherd, who was on the podcast before. So, really excited to have Mary Ann here. She also has her own podcast, and it's just refreshing to talk to somebody who is like minded in terms of recognizing the choices that we have for our lives, even in the midst of this uncertainty. So, a lot of people just have a lot of fear behind this pandemic and some of the other things that are happening in the media. But this is just I'm looking forward to a great conversation about the choices that we have, even though things look to be a certain way, that we still can empower ourselves to have a different outcome. So at this time, I'm going to give Mary an opportunity to introduce herself before we get into the interview.
Well, thank you, Lachelle. I appreciate you inviting me onto your program. I'm looking forward to this conversation. My name is Marianne Pack, and I am a spiritual guide to help people fine tune and master their focusing their thoughts and their manifestations and really living the life that they would love to live.
This is so good because a lot of people have these dreams and aspirations, but they just don't think they're possible.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
so
Right.
especially now, right now, people are, their jobs are changed, and so many things are looking dim right now. Because things that they were used to doing they can't do, and some people have a hard time with change. So, what would
Right.
you say to somebody who is wanting to have a life of their dreams, but they just kind of, in the midst of everything that's going on, just don't think it's possible?
I think really being aware of your thoughts. They say we have 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And
Mm,
really, our thoughts are the only thing we really have complete control over. We can't control circumstances and situations and things that are so far outside of us. But we can control our thoughts. But instead of managing thoughts, it's a whole lot easier to manage how you feel because our feelings, our
mm,
emotions tell on our thoughts every single time because every thought feels good or feels bad. And so when you can start noticing how you're feeling as a dominant feeling throughout the day, I check in with myself frequently to see how I'm feeling because that always indicates if I'm feeling bad, I know I'm heading in the direction of something I don't want. But if I feel good and revel in that, then I know my thoughts have been aligned with my desires and what I truly want and love.
I like that. Now, so somebody who, this is really good about taking that authority, so to speak, and empowering ourselves to manage how we
Right,
feel.
Mm-hmm.
So for somebody who, you just go through life not asking yourself different questions or even being aware, how do they start managing how they feel? What's the first thing they could do?
Um, I would say that, you can always know what you're thinking by how you're feeling. So if you're
Mhm.
not feeling well, notice what you kind of previously been thinking. Have you been thinking worried thoughts, fearful thoughts, the uncertainty, the things that scare you that you're not sure about? Those are all things that are outside of your control. But when you look and reach for things that are actually working in your life. Sure, there's a lot of uncertainty, but there's always something in your life that feels good. Some laughter, some family members, you have a roof over your head, food in your tummy, whatever it is, you love your cat, anything
Mhm.
that helps you feel better soothes those other feelings. Not like you're putting a band aid on it, but it soothes it vibrationally, energetically. And as you soothe those
Mhm.
other uncalming thoughts and feelings, it actually helps raise the vibration of those thoughts. But focusing on what's
Mhm.
going right, focusing on how you want to
Mhm.
feel, and what you want to
Mhm.
experience. I teach a lot on
Mhm.
segment intending. So every segment you go through the day, okay, I'm getting up. What do I intend? What do I want to feel? Well, we always want to feel good because
Mhm.
that's what our inner being is always feeling. So when we can reach
Mhm.
for thoughts that feel better, even a little bit better, it helps. Look for what's
Mhm.
going right. Look for the silver linings because there always is something positive in everything we experience.
I love that. And I love the thing that you mentioned about segment intending,
Hmm.
because I think a lot of people are like, I don't want to feel bad. I do want to think positive, but they think it's just going to happen miraculously. They don't
Right.
recognize the work that they have to do to kind of line those things up. So, for me, they're like, how do you do it with 15 kids? And it's like, I don't know what segment intending is, but I would assume it's like, thinking what it is that you want to accomplish, or like you're leading with how do you want to feel, and lining your day up to accomplish that,
Right.
in
And
different ways.
exactly. And segment, I don't do as much about intending for the day. Yes, you want an overall feeling of feeling good throughout the day, but
Mhm.
that is reaching a little too far for what we are experiencing segment by segment. So a segment is you get up in the morning. That's a new segment. Then you maybe get
Okay.
ready for work. So that's a new segment. You
Mm.
feed the children and get them off to school or homeschool them. You
Mhm.
make a call during the day or send an email. Every time your day shifts or someone
Mm.
else comes into your experience, into your space, that's a new segment. So it only takes a few seconds to say, okay, this is a new segment. How do I want to feel? And what do I want to experience?
Mm.
So it's
Mhm.
really quick. I mean, it doesn't take but a few seconds, and feel good about feeling good. I mean, get excited that, oh, this is a new segment. I have a new opportunity to feel good and look for
Mhm.
something that's positive. And oh, this new person walked in and I want to have a good time with them. I want to enjoy their presence.
Mhm. I love that, because I think that, this is the element that either people get lost in the past or in the future.
Absolutely.
And it sounds to me that this is a way to remind us through each shift to be intentional into right now
Absolutely.
what it is that we're doing. And so I think this is where the worry, the anxiety comes from, is either you're focusing on the past or you're focusing on the future, and you're not realizing the power that you have in this very moment.
Absolutely. We only create in now. You can think about a past,
Mm,
you can think about a past thought or past experience, or you can project, what you think might happen in the future. But all of that's happening now. Now. There's
mm,
another now that just went by. So we're
mm-hmm,
always creating what our life is going to be like now. That's why it's so important
mm,
to start being aware of how you feel, because how you're feeling is creating your future, because
mm,
it's those thoughts that become things. That's that creative element that we have, that we're so
mm-hmm,
blessed with. And once we grasp onto how to do this, we could create the most joyous, happy, fulfilled lives.
mm-hmm. I mean, that was a golden nugget that we can only create in the now. And that is
Mhm.
so profound because we are now the product of our decisions that we
Absolutely.
did in the past.
Right.
Right now, where we at today is based on what we planned yesterday. I mean, like you and I, we set up this podcast interview last week, and
Mhm.
now we're here.
Right.
Um, so, what are some things that people can do to kind of begin to create a routine around um, empowering themselves to use this now to create things? Does that question make sense?
I think so. What I tell like clients that are new to segment intending, or even
Mhm.
noticing, being aware of how they're feeling, I actually ask them to set up little alarms on their phone throughout the day,
Mhm.
like maybe once an hour or something, until they start getting into the habit of it. To
Mhm.
notice, to stop when that alarm goes off. Okay, how was I feeling? How am I feeling right now? And if you're
Mhm.
feeling good, my goodness, go for it, revel in it, think some more about it, because it was something
Mhm.
that was aligned with your spirit. It was aligned with
Mhm.
that beautiful soul we have. So, and if you're starting to feel bad, change the subject. Do anything you can
Mhm.
to. It's like a little child who's throwing a tantrum because they want this shiny object, and they just won't, they're just not happy until they have that thing. But you
Mhm.
distract them with another shiny object, and
Mhm.
all of that tantrum goes away. It's kind of like
Mhm.
when we have a bad day in the morning and it just kind of keeps snowballing, but then somebody
Mhm.
distracts us by inviting us to a party. How
Mhm.
immediately our spirits raise and we're so excited, and the rest of the day just seems to fly by, because we
Right.
shifted from something negative, feeling bad, to something positive. And we did it by our choice, because we could
Mhm.
have just said, oh, yeah, yeah, I'll come to the party, and then
Mhm.
just continued with our miserable day. But
Mhm.
more than likely, if you can distract yourself to something that feels better, thoughts that feel better, because guess what? Our inner being always feels good and will not join us in negative feelings. So if you're feeling negative, it just means you're not thinking the way your inner being thinks about you in that moment. You have a
Mm.
contradictory thought.
Mhm.
So if you can start feeling for thoughts that feel better, that immediately tells you you're aligning with who you really are, the wholeness of you, and you're
Mm.
blending and becoming harmonious. So, being able to think about segments and noticing how you feel throughout the day. And do it if you
Mhm.
need to with alarms on your phone, even if it's for a week or so, till you get kind of in the habit of noticing.
Mhm.
Because you can
Mhm.
always tell what you're creating. There's two ways to tell what you're creating: by how you feel and what's happening to you, what's happening around you, what is coming to you.
Mhm. Mm.
Do you feel good? And do good things mostly
Mhm.
come to you? Then you know you're
Mhm.
on the right path. You're in
Mhm.
alignment. But if you
Mhm.
feel bad and bad stuff seems to just always follow you around,
Mhm.
it's just a choice of shift in thinking. I love this quote from Voltaire. And Voltaire said, I have chosen to be happy because it is good for my health.
Mm.
So he chose to be happy. If you read anything about Voltaire, who was a French Enlightenment writer, he did
Mhm.
not have a silver spoon life. He
Mhm.
had a very hard life, difficult life, but yet he says, I chose to be happy. And he actually lived to 83, which seems like nothing to us. But the people who, in his time frame, life expectancy was 40 to 50.
Wow.
That would be like us living into our 150s.
Mhm.
So there's something to that, choosing to be happy
That is so awesome.
and living
And
in well being.
that is just amazing. So, talk to us a little bit about, what are some things that you do to keep you in this positive mindset? That's the way that I would say it because, we have a lot of negative news and,
Right.
when you're working with clients that their story um, you can understand that you may be helping a lot of people during this time. So it's kind of like, how do you not get their smoke on you? You know what I mean? If
Right.
they're, letting you know how they're feeling. So what are some things that you do to keep you grounded?
For one thing, I really stress to my clients that we are always starting from now and moving forward. We're
Okay.
not going to continue to tell that old story and look back.
Mhm.
Yes, you might not be feeling good and you're scared and you're worried, but guess what? We're going to start from now and look forward. So I
Mhm.
don't allow them too long to wallow in thinking about past things or those negative things. I really help them focus on looking for positive aspects,
Mhm.
creating a journal of positive aspects or a journal of appreciation.
Mhm.
Appreciation is the vibration of source, of God, of our higher power. So when you can be
Mhm.
in love and joy and appreciation, you're there.
Mhm.
The other thing that I like for people to do is to, do that, set the timers for noticing how you feel and your segment intending. But
Mhm.
another thing is for me, I want to know who I am on the inside, who my
Mhm.
spirit is. And I know that's my God force within me, that spark of God, that spark of light. And so I write down words of affirmation because I know that person, that part of me is joy. So I write a lot
Mhm.
about I am joy. I am
Mhm.
freedom. I am love. I am
Mhm.
unconditional love. I am appreciation. I am abundance. It's not just that we are abundant, it's that we
Mhm.
embody abundance. We
Mm.
embody unconditional love. And
Mhm.
that's what we want to tap into. So
Mm.
knowing who you really are is huge, is a huge breakthrough. And so for me, when I start feeling those not good feeling thoughts, those negative emotions, I really go to my favorite mantra is all is well. All
Mhm.
is well. And that will calm my spirit. And then I start repeating those affirmations of who I really am, that I am
Mhm.
joy. I we are joy looking for a way to express. That's who we are. It's not a
Mhm.
it's not a nice, a beautiful attribute to attain. It's actually who we are. We've just forgotten. So
Mm.
repeating those affirmations, but you can a caveat with affirmations is you have to feel good before you say them. If you say them in a
Mm.
bad mood, they will backfire on you.
Mm.
because the energy, the negative energy, the resistance that you're saying it with is like saying to the universe, you know, you that I don't want, come to me. Yes, I'm saying I am joy, but the resistance that you have going on because you're in a bad mood will backfire on you.
Mm.
So be mindful when you say affirmations, be in a good mood. That is very important because if not, you will be focusing more on the resistant feeling than actually believing the affirmation.
I love that. Now, so how did you get to the point to where that's a big step to say that, I am abundance and, I am joy, because these are, what's the word I want to say? Um, they're feelings and everything, but they're not the usual characteristics that we describe ourselves with, if that makes sense.
Right.
So it's like, I'm a mom and, I'm an entrepreneur. We have these different descriptors that are a big contrast to what you're saying because these emotions and feelings, I know for myself, now I can embrace those type of ways of speaking,
Hmm.
but it didn't used to be that way for me. So
Right.
what was it that helped you get to that transition to kind of, because that's just not a normal way to talk for a lot of people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Absolutely.
walk us through that, transition, because that to me is a big deal. Because, when you say an affirmation, a lot of them are, I have money and it comes to me and all this kind of stuff. And I'm, for
Mhm.
if that works for some people based on what they want to attract, I get that. But for someone to say that I am joy, I am abundance, that's a real game changer. So how do you
Right.
transition to that type of thinking?
Well, we have to understand, of course, that this universe, everything is energy. Albert Einstein told us that. So,
Mm-hmm.
as energy is always in motion, it's creating vibrations. So, we live in a universe that's governed by vibrations. The language of the universe is vibration. Even Tesla talked about if you want to know anything about the universe, you have to understand frequencies. So, when you
Mm-hmm.
start putting it in an energetic model,
Mm-hmm.
rather than a physical model, because we
Mm-hmm.
know our inner being is non-physical. It's who we are on the inside. um, when I feel like when we came into this world, we knew who we were. We just kind of got conditioned away from it and what we learned. And, even some of the lies that people told us, is, you're not worthy, you're not deserving, but you are. Because you
Mm-hmm.
know how I know is because when you get to the point where you start feeling any kind of gratitude or thankfulness, is that vibration, those thoughts and feelings feel really good. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my inner being can never feel bad. So that's why I feel the discord when I'm not thinking in alignment with who I really am, those
Mm-hmm.
wonderful, deep, rich thoughts and feelings, and understanding who I am. Well, I'm going to feel that uncomfortable, negative, emotional discord because I
Mm-hmm.
just have contradictory thoughts going. So you can always know if you're in alignment with who you really are, that greater, broader, eternal part of us by feeling good. When you're thinking
Wow.
thoughts like that, you are completely aligned with the wholeness of who you are. And that is
Mm.
so exciting. For me, it took me years to figure this out
Mm-hmm.
because I was a very miserable, sick young woman for so many
Mm-hmm.
years because my thought patterns were I'm the victim. They did this to me. This horrible thing
Mm-hmm.
happened to me. It was a miserable life. And
Mm-hmm.
when I finally started, it actually started when I finally sought out some supplements, some help from the natural food supplement world because I was so sick
Mm-hmm.
that it opened my mind to start thinking and questioning other things I believed.
Mm.
And when I started looking at what I believed and thought, gosh, these particular beliefs do not feel good. So does that mean that they're not who I really am? And when I started, observing and evaluating those kinds of beliefs, whether it's a belief that I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving of good stuff, I'm not deserving to be
Mm-hmm.
healthy, I must just be a sickly person. Well, those thoughts all feel really bad. But when I
Mm-hmm.
looked at, well, who am I really? What would it be
Mm-hmm.
like to be love? If we know God is love and
Mm-hmm.
we have that spark within us, that life force within us, well, aren't we the same? Aren't we that same
Right.
vibration? So it took me a long time, but it was a progress of, working through releasing some of those old limiting beliefs and telling
Mm-hmm.
those old stories of how unworthy I was, that I
Mm-hmm.
started looking to, thoughts that felt better. And when I did, I started feeling well being, started flooding my soul.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt
Mm-hmm.
such peace. And it was just,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm on the right track. I think I'm getting
That's
this.
awesome. Yeah. So true. And I think
So
a lot of people are there, and there that is that element where it is kind of scary because I would say it's foreign. You don't know what to expect, but you do realize as you go on that road that there is a peace, like you said, that comes over you,
absolutely.
and a knowledge that you don't have to have all the answers because it is
Right.
more of a vibration and a feeling to where once you kind of get aligned with that, you can easily determine if
Mhm.
something is right or wrong for you based on how you feel instead of what you
Absolutely.
think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, like I said, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions tell on our thoughts every single time because every
Mhm.
thought is attached to an emotion. So either a thought
Mhm.
feels good or it feels bad. You can tell by how you're feeling.
Mhm.
I mean, test it
Mhm.
out. You know, just as you start noticing how you're feeling throughout the day, what were you just thinking?
Mhm.
And go, oh my, that was a negative thought. That didn't
Mhm.
feel good. So what can I
Mhm.
think of? And it may not, you may not even, there's so many times when, coaches or whatever want to say, well, make this bad feeling thought something positive. No, sometimes we can't do that because there's
Right.
so much momentum going in that thought pattern already. We literally
Mhm.
have to shift gears and change the subject.
So
And it
true.
may be for a second, you got to sit down and pet the cat or play with your puppy dog or go take a
Mhm.
beautiful warm shower and just start letting that appreciation start flowing,
So
because
true.
we can train our mind to think negative thoughts or we can train our mind to think positive thoughts, and it is a
Mhm.
training. Your brain literally neurologically changes when you choose to change your thoughts, and it will
So
start
true.
looking for thoughts that match what you're already thinking.
So true. And and I mean that just is so key because many times people don't realize the trajectory that they set themselves on.
Oh,
It's like those patterns have just run and run and run over and over in their head. Imagine running around a track and it's just getting worn out because you
right,
keep taking that same course. And so that's how it is with some of these thoughts and feelings that we have. They're just automatically attuned to each other, and they've been able to do this without being questioned or even looked at and
right,
examined. Is this serving me or not? So
right,
imagine, trying to, it's like a little kid that's new. You have a new habit you're trying to form, going up against something that's old and has been doing it over and over again. You're not going to win. You know
right,
what I mean?
until you get stronger, you're going to have to figure out a different way to kind of defeat that in a different way. So I love that whole concept of just shifting it all together and, having music, breathing, really making a quick
Absolutely.
change, something that's visual to you, or, just you're thinking about change in direction. That to me is a big deal for some people that, they're not used to this type of thinking. So I think those are some great
Right.
points for people to kind of get moving towards. So this
Right.
has been awesome. I can't believe we're out of time, because I could ask 1,000 more questions. This is just a great topic because I love when we have ways that we can empower ourselves to begin to live the life that we want to live, and recognize and the work that we can do in order to make that manifested. So,
Absolutely.
mhm,
Empowerment is power within.
wow,
Nobody can give us empowerment. We
mhm,
must find it within. It's empowerment. It's
mhm,
inside.
mhm. So true. Well, what is
Yep.
the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
They're invited. They can go to my website,
Mhm,
maryannpack.com.
mhm,
On that first page, if anyone's interested, I have a free downloadable printable journal of positive aspects,
mhm,
and they can click on that link, fill out the little email, let me know where to send it, and they are welcome to download that and print it. It's a 31-day journal of positive aspects. It's not date sensitive, so it just has day 1, day 2, day 3, and it gives prompts every day, a little lesson, and then a
mhm,
prompt for that day. So, even if somebody doesn't want to print it out because it is a 31-day journal, they can always look at that for their prompt that day and put it in their own journal. But
mhm,
there are times when I've had people go through that multiple times at different times in their coaching, and they see the progress when they go back and look at their first journal entries, and then they do it again later after they've made progress, and they get to see their progress. And that's always so exciting to celebrate. So I would love for people to get that journal of positive aspects, because it's just, I have done it multiple times and I wrote it. So
That is awesome. And I encourage people, if they are listening, to do that because, it takes some work, and training to change our mindset sets and shift in different ways. So the more
right.
practice we can do that with, the better off it'll be for us in beginning to make those changes that we need in order to move forward. So
Absolutely.
I encourage everybody to reach out to you. And any final words that you would like to share, Marianne?
Oh, just know that who you really are on the inside is joy, is love, is appreciation. And it's going to start resonating with you because your soul knows that to be true.
Mm, that's awesome. Well, I really have appreciated this. I have pages of notes over here. This is great stuff. And looking forward to possibly having you come back on again because this is definitely a topic that we can't accomplish it all in one
Oh,
sitting.
absolutely.
I
I
look at
so
my own life.
appreciate.
I'm like, hey, I was a mess. Okay, so it's been quite a journey getting myself together. So I can only imagine everybody has a different story. So,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely. I so appreciate your invitation to be here. I thank you so much. This has been so much fun and joy for me.
oh, you are so welcome, and I look forward to us collaborating again soon. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I really enjoy providing content that inspires and challenges us to be a better version of ourselves. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, please email me at info@LachelleAtkins.com. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, or my YouTube channel. If there was something in this episode that resonated with you, it probably will resonate with someone else. So please share it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. But those aha moments, those moments of really getting something and changing your perspective are very, very pivotal in having people change the trajectory of their lives. And so being able to share insightful information so that other people can grow is the easiest thing that we can do as we pay it forward. So again, I want to thank you all for listening. And if you have time, write out a review. Go to iTunes, Anchor, wherever you can find this podcast on any of those platforms, and write a review about what impact this episode had on you, what you learned, or whatever. Any feedback is great because it just helps me to understand what content is really beneficial for those that are listening. So again, I want to thank you all for your support and taking the time to spend some time with me and my guests. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.